We're excited to be here with Peter Liljedahl, who is hosting our workshop, Building Thinking Classrooms, over the next 3 days. We have 69 participants coming from 16 different schools in several countries. And our teachers also have the unique opportunity of spending some time in some small focused groups. And we are very fortunate that we get to have a conversation with you to learn a little bit more. And we'll be sharing that with you soon.
Thank you again, Peter, for sitting down and having this conversation. We're really excited to get to dive a little bit deeper into these things with you. Our first question that we want to talk to you about is just a general, what is a thinking classroom and how is it different from traditional teaching methods?
So, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here and happy to sit down and have this conversation. I could talk all day about building thinking classroom. We don't have all day, so I'll try to be succinct. So, what is a thinking classroom? What a thinking classroom is it's a reaction to an observed and empirical reality that a significant portion of our students spend most of the day in their classrooms not thinking. And this is a problem because if students are not thinking, they're not learning, period, right? Thinking is a necessary precursor to learning. And what my research showed was that the majority of students spend the majority of their time not thinking. And building thinking classrooms is a reaction to that. It is a reaction that has emerged from the observed reality that kids are not thinking, coupled with the observed reality that much of what happens in classrooms is largely unchanged in the last 170 years. And that the structure of education has kind of created a space where behaviors like stalling, slacking, and mimicking are sort of tolerated, but even more so rewarded. And it's created this culture of non-thinking. And what building thinking classrooms has revealed is that if we want students to start to think, we actually have to change some of these structural elements of it. So in a normative classroom, we would see students sitting in their desks, writing in a notebook. Their heads would be suspended in a space, a cube that's about 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters, perched on top of their desk. And they would kind of stay in that space static for the whole lesson. The teacher would be standing, writing on the whiteboard. The students would be writing in their notebooks. And what building thinking classrooms does is it disrupts this space. It creates an environment that's very different, that is not only conducive to thinking, but encourages thinking and in many ways necessitates thinking. So instead of students sitting in their desks, they're standing. Instead of working alone, they're working in groups. Instead of working on paper, they're working on whiteboards. Instead of the teacher front-loading the lesson with all of the knowledge, the students the teacher front-loads a little bit, but then the students are tasked with the responsibility of figuring a whole bunch of things out. And then the teacher, rather than having the bulk of their lesson at the front, has the bulk of their lesson at the back end, where they're helping pull together the ideas that the students have emerged through their experiences with these rich tasks at the whiteboards in their random groups.